So I've decided I should upload an archive of all of my previous mix critique videos. Obviously, I usually post these on TikTok and Instagram, but I figured posting them here might be helpful so people can watch through a larger number of them in one shot and see consistent trends throughout the videos. Now, the big problem here is obviously because they were originally recorded for TikTok and Instagram, they are going to be in a vertical format. So I apologize for the vertical format that this video is about to switch to, but hopefully the different format won't take anything away from the information presented in those videos. So anyway, here is Mix Critiques numbers 1 through 5. Today we're going to do a mix critique. So this track was submitted by Ziggs. I'm going to listen through it and give him some feedback as I listen. Obviously I won't be able to play the whole track on here, but I'm listening to the whole track and I'm going to tell him what I'm hearing. First impressions, the bass is a little loud. It would be nice if the guitar was doubled. Right now it sounds like everything in the mix is completely mono, but overall the tones aren't that bad, so let's keep listening. This definitely has a groove to it. Whoever the bassist is fucking killing it. If you guys don't know, I'm a bassist in all the bands that I've ever been in, so I really appreciate a really good bassist. Overall, it's got good energy. Couple things I'm noticing is I kind of use a little more punch and everything, so maybe parallel compress the drums to make them cut through a little more. Again, mix the bass a little quieter. You kind of want to tighten up those low mids. Really, everything just seems like it needs more compression in general, except for the vocals. It really seems like you could get a lot more out of the bass, guitar, and drums energy-wise if there was a little more compression there, and if you tighten up the low end. It's about to hit the chorus. Let's check that out. I love this bridge, really groovy, broke it down real well. Let's see where it goes next. You let me down, it did not explode like I expected it to at the end of the bridge. So overall, not a bad mix. I think the main points here, Ziggs, are bass is a little too loud, turn that down, get a little more tightness in the low end, and a little more compression overall, especially parallel compression on the drums. Today we have another mix critique. This one was sent in by Jordan. I'm gonna go through and listen to it, and I'm gonna tell you guys my thoughts. First things I'm noticing is the guitar tones are not great. It also sounds like there might be somewhat of a phasing issue between the double track guitar and the bass track. Also, the low mids are just really muddy and really jumbled. You definitely got to work on sculpting those low mids a little better. The vocals and the drums do sound really good, but they're being overshadowed by the muddiness in the guitars and the bass. This one is a songwriting thing more than a mix thing. This is the third section that is exactly the same. Verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2, chorus 2, fine. Makes sense. A lot of songs are like that, but I would generally switch up something in verse 2, like maybe make the bass stick out more than the guitar or keys over the top. When we get to verse 3 and chorus 3 and it sounds exactly the same, it gets boring, man. You need bridge, you need guitar solo, just something to switch it up. Verse chorus 3 times in a row, all exactly the same, way too boring, to the point that I almost don't want to listen to the rest of the song because I can see in the waveform that I'm about to be treated to verse 4 and chorus 4 that are exactly the same. I will finish the song though, but please work on that. Add a C section. Found the guitar solo. Time for another mix critique. This one was submitted by CJ. Let's check it out.
Everybody come outside and play in the rain and grab a friend.
I love the intro, the flangey guitars, the washy vocals. Seriously, the vocals sound absolutely fantastic, especially with the formant shifted vocals below the lead vocal. Really cool, sounds great so far. Let's keep going. The drums sound pretty good, but the kick is a little boomy. Maybe take out some low mids and maybe even some sub frequencies in there. It's kind of hard to tell where exactly the issue is, but the kick definitely is adding a lot of mud to the track.
Everybody come home and bring a friend.
So the vocals sounded great in the intro, but when the vocals come back in after the drums and everything else comes in, vocals are really loud over the top of everything else. It doesn't feel like it's gelling together. I would say you got to bring those vocals down and make it actually sit better in the overall mix. Tonally, it sounds fantastic, but the levels are just a little off. Work on that a bit. I also really want that main rhythm guitar with the flange to be on both sides. I would double track that and pan one right just to fill out the sound a little bit more. That synth line that comes in towards the end is really cool. cool. I really like that. So overall, I really like that track, CJ. I just had a couple nitpicky things. I love that vocal sound. I wish that track was less instrumental and had vocals over more of it because the vocal tone is fantastic. You're definitely really close, man. Keep up the good work. Time for another mix critique. This one was sent in by Jonathan. Let's check it out.
I still want to get back.
First impressions, I like the overall energy of the track. The mix is pretty good overall. The couple things that are sticking out to me that I'm not a fan of, I don't really like that bass tone. I think if you found a tone for the bass that melded a little better with the guitars, it would add a lot more punch to the track. The other thing that's really bothering me is you guys pushed the digital master way too far. I can hear the harsh digital high end that was caused by you clipping the master bus. This isn't like you used a clipper plugin and it did that. No, this is you pushed the output volume through your master bus way too hard and added a bunch of horrible high-end noise. And when I look at the waveform, it's literally just, it's flat. There is zero dynamics. It is completely flat. You guys need to work on that. This genre of music, you're going for loudness, but you need to find the balance between volume and not adding harsh digital distortion. Like there's a big difference between saturation and adding digital clipping, pushing too hard into the master bus in your DAW. It's not at all like when you clip your converters going out of and back into the computer. It does not work the same. That's a really cool part. Transition into the breakdown was a little weird, but the breakdown when it actually comes in hits hard as fuck. I love that. So overall, I think it's a cool track. The mix is actually pretty good, but the master just added so much harsh end. Pretty much the mix is good, but work on the mastering side of things. But overall, Jonathan, really great track. Today we have another mix critique. This one was sent in by Andy. Let's check it out. I really liked the intro and I liked how it reached a point that seemed like a climax and then it dropped off. So then when it actually kicked in, it was a lot of energy, but you kind of did that like 3 times leading into the actual song. Personally, I would only do that kind of build and then drop once and then go right into the verse. And the other thing I'm noticing is the drums are kind of overpowering the mix. Everything's still audible, but the drums are really like out front and in your face. I feel like everything just needs to be leveled better. You gotta work on more getting the balance right before you actually start with plugins. The other thing is I'm assuming you're either listening on a system that has way too much bass or it has absolutely no bass frequency in it because there's very little bass frequency in this mix. This sounds like there's nothing really in the low end and even the low mids aren't that pronounced. It might not even be that there's not enough low end. It might be there's too much high end. Like there's a lot of like 2.5 to like 5K area that's overpowering. One thing I do really like is all the ambient stuff, like your reverbs and delays sound really good. They might be a little overpowering in some spots, but for the most part, tonally and like the timing of them, the atmosphere sounds really cool in the background. So overall, Andy, not a bad mix. There's some things that you could work on. Like I said, I think you have a problem in your monitoring environment with how you're hearing the tracks because you're getting a lot less low end than you should have and a lot more like high mids than you need.